It's Wednesday in Lagos, exactly 6 days to Christmas. Good morning and welcome. I am Fmr Member. Compliments of the season to you. Yesterday was President Muhammadu Buhari's 77th birthday, and the day did not end without a historic feat. The president actually signed the 2020 appropriation bill into law, and that's perhaps the first time since 1999 that Nigeria would be running a national budget cycle from January to December. And we'll be talking about that subsequently on the program. But let's turn our attention to what today is now a bone of contention: President Buhari's visa on arrival policy. And in case you've not been following that story, the Senate has now summoned the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aregbesola, to come over and discuss this particular policy announced by the president at the Asian Forum in Egypt. That's about 2 weeks ago. Now, this is exactly what the lawmakers are saying. They are highlighting the fact that this policy cannot go ahead without being domesticated here in Nigeria and made a law. Now, the president in Egypt is saying that this is no doubt aftermath Nigeria's assent to that particular Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and it's just one of those ways to make Africa a bigger free trade bigger on the continent. I'm going to quote his tweet here now. We in Nigeria have already taken the strategic decision to bring down barriers that have hindered the free movement of our people within the continent by introducing the issuance of visa at the point of entry into Nigeria to all persons holding passports of African countries with effect from January 2020. I'm joined this morning by Honorable Ipoola Omisore, who is a former member, Lagos House of Assembly, is also an educationist. Good morning and thank you for coming.
Good morning.
Ambassador Ayo Olukanni is here, former High Commissioner to Australia with current accreditation to New Zealand, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, and the list is endless. It's also DG Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for finding time to come.
Thank you, Tulu, for having me.
So let me begin with you, because you seem to have been around the world. Help us understand how visa on arrival works and how it differs from having received your visa before going to the airport.
I think it's as simple as it goes. To travel to any country, any place, you need a visa. That's the standard procedure as far as diplomacy and international relations are concerned. There's the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. We also have the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which guides all these arrangements in respect of movement as far as visas are concerned. With this specific issue, I think the first thing we need to remember is that currently there's a policy on visa on arrival. If you apply for a Nigerian visa, there's a section. You have to go onto the website of immigration. But there's a section, an area of it that says, do you want a visa on arrival? You can click on that and then make arrangement, follow up in terms of what exactly what you want to do. So it's a standard practice as far as that is concerned. But now
that indeed is limited to a certain set of people as we speak now before the president's declaration.
Well, currently, the question of visa on arrival, like I said, is there. I serve as a High Commissioner and Ambassador in Australia in those days. If you look at it, you can go for that option. Okay. Your first option is to apply for visa normally. And then there's a process, there are requirements, you go on. For visa on arrival, what you have to do is there now. But this new policy is a little bit ahead. I mean, it's expansive. This is what I can refer to as the vision, implementation of the vision of our African leaders way back 1963. And then in terms of an Africa where people can travel around without visas, now the EU has picked that up, an African, a visa-free Africa. Maybe as we go in the discussion, I'll also share a few experiences with you on that. But I think it's a positive step in the right direction.
Let's turn our attention to what the legislators are saying. They're saying this is a visa policy that seems not to be properly regulated. They're saying no bill has been sent to the House for domestication, which is first required before whatever signatory Nigeria is on the African continent can find expression, within the country. What's your reaction to that?
I think the House can say what they are saying, but as the ambassador just said, it's not a new thing. Even we Nigerians, we can enter 48 countries with visa on arrival. As I speak to you, Nigerians can go to 48 countries and get visa at the point. Those of us who studied in the 70s in UK, we went to the port to get our visa. We didn't take it in Lagos. So I think it's a point that has been there. It's an African policy that they want to revive. It's been on paper for long. And what the House is saying is that they're trying to checkmate the executive. You know, those of us in the House, we believe that there's what we call executive rascality. They just do things with impunity, without referring to the House. So I think the House is trying to exercise their functions, their powers, to say, look, even if it's a foreign policy, you must get our consent. And I think it's right. But by the time the president explains to them, I am sure it's a thing that will let go.
Now, why are we in a rush? What lawmakers are saying is that
clarification here.
This is premature. It is constitutionally and legally impossible to have this done without it first passing through the National Assembly.
No, Tolu. Let us be clear here, the issues we're talking about. The question and the issues of domestication of the African continental free trade area is totally different altogether. Now, we've signed this agreement, but the question and issues of a visa-free Africa, when the African Union took the decision to ensure free movement within the African continent, it's a logical sequence of things like I said, started in 1963. And what exactly happened with the ETLS, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, it's the same thing. After ECOWAS started, we said free movement of persons, free movement of goods. The first thing was free movement of persons. So you can travel across ECOWAS countries in this way. And that's why I'm indeed very happy what Honorable Omisore said, that currently 48 countries. I'll give you a good example. I serve as a Acting High Commissioner, I served in Nairobi, Kenya for 4 years. During those periods, at a particular period in history, before the Africa visa policy was being implemented, you even transit, you need a visa to transit through Kenya. There are cases in which when people miss their flight, the KQ432 leaves 7:30. If you're coming from Dubai on the KQ311, if it's late, it means you're going to sleep at the airport until the following morning. We took up the issue. They said, okay, Nigerians, you can leave your passport, they will take you out. But subsequently, fast forward to recent times, you now go to Kenya, you get your bag, arrive at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, you get your visa, and that place, pay $50, you get your visa at that point. So what has happened as far as a visa-free policy is a movement beyond what it is now. It's starting with Africans. You can take your bag and come in here. And then, of course, you get your visa on the point of arrival. Like I said, this is different altogether, although it's complementary in a way from the question and issues of domestication of the African free trade confederate field. That will come subsequently. But ratification, of course, is also one of the issues which is coming up now.
Indeed, there must be a reason why African countries, well, some of them are holding back on the decision made at the EU. African nations agreed way back in 2013 to scrap visa requirements across the continent by 2018. Well, as we speak right now, they're still pushing for a single passport for all African nationals. It unveiled that in 2016, but it's yet to reach everyone. The fear sometimes is insecurity. The same reasons why we're closing our land borders. We say proliferation of small arms. People cannot just come here and dump things on us. Is this a premature policy, as it were?
It is not really. I think the fear of the unknown has actually been holding back this good policy. We're Africans. Why can't you move everywhere? But there are fears. As we talk today, can you go to South Africa? Even with visa, we are in trouble. So the problem is, the African problem itself, in the sense that the insecurity is there, the fear of domination is there. They say, oh, Nigerians are taking over their market, Nigerians are taking over their country. So it is a policy that we must be very careful in handling, because we have continued to be big brother Africa, and we have gained nothing economic wise, and even in foreign policies. So I think it's a thing everybody's holding back out of the fear of the unknown. What I want to say that's where the future is. We should be able to move around. We should be able to be safe. But the problem is our development is not even. And where development is not even, jealousy sets in. And all those things that happens, attacking each other, are still there. Because if I have visa to enter your country, and you are still attacking me, suppose I'm coming even without visa, what happens?
So I understand the advantages of the open borders, increased trade, more earnings from tourism activities and the rest. But there are some who believe that this particular policy stands the risk of increasing unemployment in the country. It allows migrants from poorer countries, which already exists. Someone from Niger or Togo would easily enter Nigeria without you noticing. We don't even seem to have the system or a comprehensive data collection platform to know who is who. So how do we begin to solve this challenge?
Well, let me say that as DG NACCIMA, and then for us, maybe perhaps I should make a few statements in this area. We find this very interesting, and of course it's a positive step in the right direction, because a lot of our members sometimes who have business relations with other African, with our partners, investors from different parts of Africa, we do have difficulties in terms of securing visas for them. Now, of course, we know that with this, it is possible now to facilitate, joint ventures, participation across the board in terms of very many of them. Because as chambers members, they come to us and we are. But let me also quickly raise, draw attention to the question and issue you raised in terms of the security dimension of it. There's no human right paradise on earth as it is now. The Honorable Omisore said, this is the future. We should be futuristic. When we started ECOWAS, the issues and the fears were there. But we know, of course, what has happened now. People can trade across the borders. They can move around too as well. There is also issues of global commons as well, which, despite all the problems, that brings us together. Today, we have the GCM. The GCM is the Global Compact on Migration. Despite the problems and issues of migration, we now have a Global Compact on Migration, a UN Global Compact on Migration, in which people can move from one part of the world to the other, safe, legally. When I served in Australia, the Australians were saying, look, listen, we need skilled migrants. We need skilled migrants, 23 million people in a subcontinent. So they deliberately request for people to come to their country. And this is going to be the reality as far as the international. They
have the structure, they have the development.
Yes, but the question, the issue, let me.
Are we at par with Australia in that?
No, we're not at par with Australia, but we're also on that track. Let me give you an example. Before, we used to have the passport. It was just a piece of passport. Then from the passport, we moved to the MRP, if you remember. Machines Readable Passport. We moved from machine readable passport to a biometric passport. This is an indication of the sophistication in terms of the Nigerian passport itself. So implicitly, in those days, when you go for visa and they stamp you, they deny you visa, you just throw away the passport and go and get another one. Now you cannot do that. So we're progressing in terms of, so what it means that once you enter Nigeria with your passport, your biodata is there in the system. So it is led for us to now follow up the activities of such people. And I think that's one of the development which we have already tick the box.
Mr. President's announcement in Egypt came as a surprise to some. First is the fact that the country's reluctance in signing the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Of course, Nigeria played a prominent role in drafting this document, but it took a while also before it could put a signature to it. We saw government consult with labor unions over time, assuring them that, we will not take over the market with inferior or subsidized groups. Second is the land border closure, which is, many people at some point were saying this is even anti, resolutions made already at the African Union. The big question is whether this policy will end up empowering the Nigerian economy or increase the country's security problem. I know that one way or the other, the ambassador is saying that indeed it is the way to go. But do we have the structures on ground as we speak right now to handle this?
We don't really have the structure. And the reason is that apart from our porous borders, even the security of the nation is challenged, because already we talk about, Fulani harassment, coming from our borders. Now you are now saying everybody should come. And the danger again is that countries where they have visa on arrival, they have very diligent officers. They have officers who cannot bribe. They have officers that are strict. But our airport, can we boast of that? That they will not compromise? You see Nigerians coming and you see white people being escorted out, people playing games. So we lack that. Then again, even the job itself, where the unemployment rate in Nigeria is very, very high, and bringing in more people that will come in, probably cheap, take away the jobs from our people, is also one of the fears we must entertain. And also, even already we are contending with the Chinese. They have taken everything. Even though they came illegally or some illegally, they're already taking our economy, taking our production process, cutting corners. And when you do that now, for president to go and say it in the North Africa, the Lebanese are watching, they are hearing. By the time they beseech us, they go save Nigeria.
Let's look at some of the. Okay, you want to?
Yes, I just want to comment.
Yes.
There's no policy which you put in place which it's not well thought out, and you don't do your SWOT analysis. You look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats. I am sure I'm sure that all of these have been thought about in terms of this question and issues of research policy. Honestly speaking, there's no denying the reality, our existential reality, in terms of the security crisis we have. It's a big one. And that's why I think it's a good development that we now have the national policy strategy on security issues. This is a very interesting development, and I think we need to watch it and key into it to see how we can be part of implementation of that. The Small Arms and Light Weapons Initiative, Nigeria was at the forefront of that. That's why we have NACCIMA. The issues and the question is, how do we implement it to be able to be sure that in terms of the security threat, we take the issues frontally, and also make sure that it goes beyond the national, the subnational. Action at the state level, and the local government level. We seem to concentrate most of the time at the national level. This is part of the problem. We should bring on board respective areas, including also national level. And that's why the question and issues of community policing becomes very important. Because at that level, you can give crime a close mark.
Let's just look at this policy in light of what other big African economies like South Africa are doing currently. You recall the xenophobic attacks in that part of Africa. There are plans now to create what they call a new border management authority. That's next year. And it's in a bid to curb the entry of undocumented migrants.
Yes.
In fact, it is a pledge by the ruling ANC that have made to their voters in a general election next year, early this year rather. And a spate of attacks on nationals on African continents like we've seen it. In Rwanda, the Rwanda-Uganda border has been shut since March. And what Paul Kagame is saying is accusing his counterpart, Museveni, of trying to destabilize his government. At a time where we see growing African economies shutting their doors, we're about to open it. What do we intend to do differently not to have similar challenges that they are faced with?
You see, the fears that we always be there, we're Africans. The free visa thing, or coming to this, visa thing, we should also look at it at, I'm sorry the ambassador is here. I know the way our embassies behave. Would-be investors genuinely coming to even invest, they have their frustrations at our embassies in such a way that even Nigerians at embassies have cause to be fighting the staff because of our uncivilized way of handling would-be visitors to Nigeria. So that may be part of the reasons why I will support visa on entry, because if you waste my time at the embassy, if you misbehave at the embassy, you are giving a very good account, or a bad account of the country I want to go to. So if there's a way of bypassing nuisances at our embassies, I think it's good. But the country itself, if you go to America today, if you enter, they will fish you out when they want to fish you out. You cannot enter when they don't want you to enter. But in this country, can we do that? Do we have the powers that be to curtail movement? If people we don't want enter the country, can we get them back to where they come from? Once you enter this country, nothing can take you out because you cannot even be located. So I think the devices that will make us to have on track those who come into our country is very important. Phonobic of the attacks is not it's not a healthy thing for Africans. We are all Africans, but if you want to come here, you must be documented. If I give you visa on arrival, how do I locate where you go thereafter? That's the problem of Nigeria. There's nothing wrong in people coming here. Can we locate them? Can we even screen them to make sure that militants are not coming into the country? Libya is there, Sudan is there, there are runaway rebels all over there, small arms are there. How do we curtail those things?
He's made a point.
Thank you.
And it's the point I've been making all morning. I mean, we don't even know the Nigerians, let alone being able to identify the foreigners.
I do have practical experience over 35 years in the Nigerian Foreign Service. I'm, in all modesty, serving in the mission, serving in Brussels, serving in Tel Aviv, Israel, 2 times in New York, Vienna, Austria, and other places. So the Nigerian missions, quote unquote, are easily doing great work. Great work in terms of the question and issues you talked about.
I'm talking about human relations.
Yes, I do 50 years.
Those who want visa.
50,
our Nigerians
sir,
are
horrible.
complaining in Europe.
Yes,
they are fighting the staff because of the way they talk to them.
Over 50 years, the Nigerian diplomatic service and the Nigerian missions abroad, serving at home and abroad, they've done a lot for our country. The Nigerian missions are not the only institution which, and I must confess to you that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Nigerian Diplomatic Service, and one of the most important institutions in terms of the trajectory and growth of Nigeria. The point I'm making is that the Nigerian missions do a lot of good work. You have a few issues here and there, but honestly speaking, let us give it to them. That I served in Australia, and one of the things we said was that we even issue visas without people coming to the mission. You fill the form online, we look at your papers. Once your paper is okay, put it in an envelope, send to us, you get a visa without coming. These are some of the things, innovative areas. Now to come back to the question and issue which you talked about in terms of the fears, South Africa. Look, South Africa is, quote unquote, is still a young nation. Long years of apartheid. They're yet to, the dividend of democracy, of the struggle is still on there. But let me give you a good example. I was in Ethiopia about 3 weeks ago for the to discuss continental free trade area. And then we discovered that Ethiopians, who happens to be a closed place in terms of the question of free market, was opening up. They've signed the AFCTA, very eager about it. Then I was asking the ambassador, the Nigerian ambassador, we were talking. He said they created Hawassa. Hawassa is an industrial park in a part of Ethiopia where they produce goods, 60,000 jobs in Hawassa. $1 billion in terms of, so it has attracted companies into that area. And so their visa-free policy is driven by such things. Please come in here.
To advantage.
In terms of their own advantage. So these are some of the things we should look at. Like I said, as the Nigerian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, we are all over the country at our national level. We want to sensitize our members, chambers, to these issues. We looked at it, we hold a series of dialogue in terms, how can we take advantage of this policy? Because if you look at it, there's always 2 sides to a coin. But it's left for you what you do with it, and that's one of the things I think we're looking at.
This visa application process, is it done in such a way that Nigeria knows who is coming in before the person comes?
Yes, of course. I'm processing one now. Sometimes last year when we were doing the accreditation process in NACCIMA, we brought in somebody. It was visa on the point of arrival, because now I'm not sure very many people know that there is visa on arrival now, except you're into business and you're bringing in somebody. You click on it. You, as the person who is inviting, will send a letter. Then the person said, I am guaranteeing immigration responsibility for this person. So in the implementation of that, so when the person comes in, immigration knows that the investor is the guest of Honorable Omisore for this particular period. So if they are looking for him, it is easy. to be able to get across to Honorable Omisore, look, this is what has happened. This is what has happened. Now, with this new policy too, I think there are areas in which you can, in terms of following up, and like I said, we in the Chambers of Commerce and industry definitely are looking at it and working closely to see how we can take advantage of that.
Honorable, we're told now that the trend is free movement. Well, that's the ambassador's point of view. The fact that Nigeria has played a leadership role in ECOWAS, some are saying that now it's time to move it across the continent. So it's a battle between continental leadership and national interest. Which do you think is more prominent at this time?
You see, I like what the ambassador just talked about in Ethiopia. They made a policy that will engineer a particular industrialization of their country. What is our own? Is it just people can come to do what? I think there is need to categorize. Investors come in, get your visa at point of entry. We should specify the danger of openness, without any categorization is dangerous. And playing Big Brother Africa has never paid us. All the sacrifices of Nigeria and Nigerians for South Africa today is at zero result. Even West Africa, tell me a country that likes Nigeria in West Africa, and I will tell you, you have not searched it deeply. I think we should take care about Nigeria for strengthening our country, make our country strong. The border closure, we might be complaining and crying, but it's strengthening the country. It shows that if you want to take something from us, you must give something back. A foreign policy that does not attract economic powers. America will never give you any aid. They will not get anything from you. They will never play a big brother unless they want to get an advantage. I think we should change our foreign policy in such a way that it will be to the personal gain and strength of the country and its economy.
After all,
let me give practical examples. Let me give practical examples, because since I wear the shoes and I know where it pinches, and when it is comfortable, I know where. Just yesterday evening, before I closed, the Nigerian High Commissioner in India called me and said, look, some Indian investors wants to come and they want to invite us. Before then, I had the NACCIMA sign an MOU with African Variant. African Variant is an association of German businessmen. They came to us that we want to start implementation. They're looking at 2020. So I can assure you that investors are keen in Nigeria. They're keen and they're coming in terms of what exactly is to be done. Don't let us deceive ourselves about that. The other part of it is also the question and issues of Nigeria and Africa, West Africa. And if you look at it in context of the AFCTA, Nigerian banks now dominate the West Coast. Ghana, all over the place. In March this year I was there. The Ghanaians were repositioning and recalibrating the Ghanaian banking sector. It was taken over by Nigerian banks. Before I served in Nairobi, in Kenya, 2003, 2007, there were no Nigerian banks. This last time, we have Zenith, we have GTB, we have UPA. So as far as Nigerians and Africa is concerned, the reality is that a lot of opportunities out there for our country. But inwardly, it is necessary for us to strengthen ourselves.
Let me hold you for a minute to take a break. There's also this thin line between bringing investors and creating competition for local industries. I saw a story on the dailies today, and it was about a Chinese car manufacturing industry planning to come, start something in Nigeria. And Nigerians are saying, have we supported the indigenous company assembling cars manufactured enough before we start bringing these people in? We'll talk more about this and also open the phone lines when we return after this. For staying with us, we're talking about the visa on arrival policy of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, what do we know about this policy? Of course, it's set to kick off in January 2020. The Senate already has now invited the Minister of Interior, Fmr Member, to come talk about this. They are concerned about the domestication of this law first aid via the National Assembly. We also know that Nigeria had the visa on arrival policy, which the ambassador made mention earlier, and it's for frequently high net worth investors and intended visitors who may not be able to obtain visas in their countries of residence due to absence of Nigerian nation and all of that. That's according to the Nigerian Immigration Service. We also know that this new policy appears to further expand that class of people who come into the country with less restrictions. The policy is also for Africans with a valid passport. So wherever you're coming from, you must have a valid passport before you can come in. It's also for a short visit for purposes such as tourism, and grants them legal stay for up to 90 days. Now, according to the Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Mohammed Babandede, the visa is only valid for people visiting, not for those who want residency or employment. According to him, the president had given this approval for a while now and had directed the Immigration Service to consult with stakeholders, approach the process in a transparent manner, and ensure that it is hitch-free. He says that the Immigration Service is well ready and prepared. Well, we understand that all of these are in paper. The fact that when you come in, you can only stay 90 days. The fear is that even before this, we know non-Nigerians who have been living here forever. They even have unions and all of that, and they are well recognized making money. But let's move ahead to find out very quickly. We mentioned earlier the role of the National Assembly. Are you saying that if the National Assembly says no, the executive can still go ahead with this policy?
Well, I think the National Assembly may not succeed in stopping the federal government. The reason is that there's always a law in existence. And there's a clause in every law we pass at the House, which says power to regulate, of raising regulations. But the important thing is that that regulation must be sent back for approval. So there's always a clause there that will make the president to do what he wants to do. Even in terms of treaties, there's always a clause there. Yeah. But for the peace between the two organs of government, the legislature and the executive, there is need for rapport. That's why they are calling, on the Minister of Interior, and I hope they call the Minister of Foreign Affairs and even the presidency, is to talk over it and make sure that all loopholes are blocked. If you say people can come in for 90 days, in this Lagos, if anybody enter Lagos today, can you locate that person again? You can never. So it's a joke saying 90 days. If they don't go back, what do you do? So that's the essence, the areas they have to look at. There must be safety valves, which I think Nigeria don't even have any solution to. In UK, you enter, you don't go out. They, one way or the other, they will fish you out. But here, it's like you get mixed up, and you can never be located. So we need that area. The executive need to assure the legislature that all opportunities of preventing overstay and other things and security are looked at.
I'm glad you read out all those details. I'm very fond of the saying of the late Mario Cuomo, the iconic mayor and governor of New York, who says you campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose. You campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose. At the end of the day, there are details, arrangement in terms of implementation. You've read some of those things out. These are some of the things which will happen. The question and issue of also tracing and identifying where people are. The beauty of technology these days is that with your mobile phone, when you make a call somewhere, they know where you are. So in terms of deploying IT, this is one of the ways, this is one of the things.
Let me hold you for a minute to take this call from Surulere. Good morning, Femi. Hello, Femi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Let's go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. The policy is a very good policy. But the problem we have as a country is that as we lay our bed, we must lie on it like that. All of you there, you have a number that Nigeria can know you are in Nigeria. None. We duplicate our database which should have gone through the National Population Commission. We don't even know how many Nigerians are in Nigeria. Then you now say you are building something. There are certain things you need to do. You don't build a house from the roof. You build from the foundation. What are the foundations that have been made for this policy to succeed? So many things we do in this country. People outside look at us as these people are foolish. We have a national population commission. We have a ID card we have a voter register which can be domiciled in one single place before we can now start doing all those things we say we want to do. So the very thing is that it's an advantage for all of us. Even the border closure is an advantage for all of us in the West African region. If we have this is the quantity of rice that we do, and all of them key into it.
That's all right.
All the West African region key into it to produce rice instead of giving our food for our children.
I think you made your point very clearly, Femi. Thank you very much for calling in from Surulere. Now, here's the point. So you made mention earlier that we all have phones, and via these phones you can reach. You'll be surprised that it doesn't work like that in Nigeria. Even the biometric verification number. So I was in the bank some months ago. I was surprised that the banker was asking me for my address. And I was wondering, if you have a unique number for individuals, shouldn't you have a system where via this number you can even access the person's information in detail? In developed clime, when you're stopped by, an officer, and then they put in a particular number, they can access all of your information. We are still far away from achieving that in this part of the world.
Tolu, without sounding too optimistic, look, listen, in those days you have to go and collect tally number in the bank. You have to go and collect tally number and queue for hours. Now, on your phone, you can make transactions of them. This is an indication of the progressive development of technology in terms of our existential reality and living. Now, my brother Femi, who made mention of, he said it's a good policy, he made mention of it. I'm telling you, and I gave the good example, like I said, of the biometric passports. Movement from the MRP passport. That today, the possibility of you getting another passport is almost nil. I had an encounter with a Nigerian, in this case. Suddenly, he wanted to change the name. This was in Australia. He wanted to change his name. He said he wanted to change his name because of some family issues and things like that. And then I said, are you sure? These are the rules. By the time we sent the papers, took him back to headquarters, to immigration. Because immigration in Abuja has a back end, a technological back end that fits in everything into the process when you apply. And he said, sorry, this man has a passport. And then he now confessed, and so we said, okay, if this is the case, then this is the process you have to go through. So we're not there yet, and I'm sorry to. Now you can have your birth, you can bath, you can have your bath, wash yourself. 37,000 feet in the air, on an airliner, which is an indication of how aviation itself has developed.
Maybe Femi's point really was
what
that
we want to do,
we should have gotten there first before adopting this kind of policy.
What I think we should do, in terms of the question of security and monitoring ourselves, is the issue. Well, these days, it's not for nothing that you have the CCTV cameras, even on the road. Lagos State now, when they capture they can capture that your car and send you. And I know somebody who got an indication of that. His papers were expired. He was shocked. I mean, this is the progression. This is what we should do.
Let me hold you very quickly to take this call from Katina. Emmanuel, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, thank you for holding on. Go ahead with your contribution.
All right. I appreciate the program. I like what you guys are doing. But I also want to talk to the ambassador. I know what he's doing there is trying to protect the image of Nigeria. But there's one thing that this government does that is not good. When they have a policy, they don't talk about it. When he travels abroad, They give us, boom, there's a bombshell. We hear another thing, we come on air, we start discussing. But let's get one thing straight. Nigeria is like the big brother of Africa. So everybody says. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. The basic truth is that we are giant of nothing. All this policy they are putting in place, how will it favor the common man? Let me tell you the gospel truth. We are battling insecurity. We are battling economic, no job, nothing. You want to open up our borders. For what? You want to open up things so that people will start coming in. Just a few months ago, they blocked borders. We can see how we are enjoying. We will see how farmers and everything is moving on fine. But look at this new policy now. If you open up this thing, let's still call a spade a spade. It's not going to favor us. We are not yet matured for this development. It will take time. It will come. But there's no country in Africa that welcomes us into their country. And you want to open the borders for people to come in. To come and do what? Investors will come. Let them live the normal process that is there.
I think you made a point, Emmanuel.
Always find their way in.
Thank you for calling in from Kaduna. So, on one hand is the fact that why are we hearing this when the president visited Egypt? And the other hand is how do we get Nigerians to be a bit more optimistic about government policies?
You see, he has said it all. Communication is very important. When you don't communicate with the people and you go out there to go and throw a policy that even your people will say, when did we discuss? Even the parliament is saying, when did we discuss it? We are asking, when did we discuss it? And we have National Orientation Agency that is asleep. It's as if it's a dead organ that should help government. But be that as it may, what do we benefit from the policy? When the ambassador was talking about Ethiopia, he said they set up a mega place where there's industry and almost $1 billion investment area, and they now allow people to come in. So it means that it is a policy that is tailored towards development, towards economic emancipation. I think that's what Nigeria should do. Who are those to come in? Businessmen that are going to come in with track records. With track records. Not just anybody, because if you say anybody can come in, Libyans are waiting. They will come in, and you know the instability in their country. Sudanese will come in, and already herdsmen are coming in from Nigeria and everywhere. So I think the president should come back. The minister should come and tell.
He's back already from Egypt.
No, I mean, he should come back home.
Let's take this call from Adamawa. Good morning.
I'll take on.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Good morning, Uba. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning to you all.
Morning.
I said good morning to you all.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. I want to make my own contribution.
All right, go ahead.
Concerning the visa issue. It's very unfortunate that Nigerians are taking this issue day and day, that the visa issue, people have been coming to this country through Libya or through Nigeria. We have porous border and so on and so forth. As the honorable is talking there, okay.
You want to double up. You are slowing us down. Can you speak a little bit faster? Yes.
Yeah. So the issue of visa on arrival is not supposed to be a new thing to Nigerians. Most of us are always traveling to Dubai, and we know how we travel to Dubai. We travel through an agent. You cannot travel without your passport. When you have the passport before you travel, your agent will now. You apply to the agent now will send you your document of traveling through an email, and you use it and book your ticket. Then on arrival, they stamp your visa.
It's all right. Well, this is talking about the African continent, not the United Arab Emirates. But let's answer that initial question of perhaps if we can help Nigerians understand what there is to gain in this policy, then we can begin to buy into it.
Well, first, let me address the question and issues of consultative processes.
Sorry, can I ask NACCIMA?
Yes.
Do you feel threatened, industrialists, by this policy, or you feel comfortable?
No, I don't think NACCIMA. We don't feel threatened because we do have relationship with very many partners across the world. Many members of our association, chambers members, and going to joint ventures with very many people. So what is left for us to do is how to take advantage of this. Take, for example, when the AFCT process was on, we were part and parcel of it. We were very futuristic and working. Now we started a dialogue series on the AFCTA for a proper understanding and grasp of the issues. We've held 3 of those series now. We were also part of the National Forum. So I don't think the attitude to it should be whether you feel threatened or not. The thing is, look at it. How do you take advantage of it? If you look at the creativity sector, for example, now, 239 billion. Now you have Nigerian movies. Now, the home video, Nollywood, of course, has penetrated the entire African continent. This is the AFCTA in practice already, by a section of the Nigerian economy, by a section of the operators of the Nigerian economy, in terms of the services sector. So I think that is the attitude to it. Perhaps maybe in terms of a more consultative process, but I'm happy you've read it now, that in terms of even the process of implementation, stakeholders will be engaged. And we in NACCIMA was ready. We are poised and ready to work closely with the immigration department and said, look, listen, regionally, and we're not just going to locate it in Lagos alone. We also want to go down to the grassroots. Our members in various regions of Nigeria, in South Saudi, Port Harcourt Chambers of Commerce, Kaduna Chambers of Commerce, we will engage them and say, look, in terms of this visa policy, we want your perspective of it. These are the areas which you can take advantage of it. This is what we're doing. So we want to walk the talk.
So I understand that there's pressure to make traveling easier within the continent. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, complained just last year that he needed 36 visas to travel within the continent on his Nigerian passport. But do we understand what the thin line really is? On one hand, we want foreign investment, but how do we welcome this investment such that it doesn't threaten national interest and the development of even the industries, our homegrown industries? I made an example earlier of the possibility of a Chinese car manufacturing company in Nigeria at a time where there is a local manufacturing industry that doesn't appear to even be getting the kind of government support that it should get. So when you bring a Chinese company that has all of the resources, how do you expect that local company to survive?
See, we must protect local industry. We must protect our country. We should look at areas of weakness that we want to develop, not the areas of our strength that we are going to weaken. Local manufacturing is being encouraged. No industry that will bring that in the particular arm of industry down should be allowed in. We have areas that we really needed the expatriates to come in. These are the areas the government should allow them to come in. Innocent is there, struggling, yet to be even accepted by Nigerians.
Thank you for mentioning Innocent. I'm sorry to jump in there. During our 4th quarter council meeting, we went to Nnewi. NACCIMA 4th quarter, it was held in Nnewi. And then we went around some of the factories. Innocent was one of the factories where we went to. Our national president, Haji Asaratu Iyaliyu, was the one that cut the tape of the new line in Innocent. And we are, of course, doing what you're saying in terms of supporting Innocent, in terms of the vehicle manufacturing, expansion, and also improving. So we support such initiatives.
Do you prevent government from creating problem for them?
Well, the question, we are an advocacy group. And when we see policies that are not right, we take government on that.
Do you consider a Chinese manufacturing firm a threat or a problem to Innocent, for instance?
Well, not exactly, because it's a question on how those policies itself. Look, within the framework of the FCT, there is quote and unquote the protection of infant industries. You have the right to identify and say this factory, this no-go area until maybe the next 20 years.
Let's take this call from Abia State very quickly. Okorafo is called in from Aruchuku. Good morning, Okorafo.
Good morning, Mr. Nifeni. Good morning, Ambassador Ayo and Honorable Omisore. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thank you, sir.
You see, if you look at the issues, they are like what the Ambassador is saying, visa with just on arrival is not favorable to small-scale industrialists. It's only favorable to the bushers, industrialists. Why am I saying? Because if you check the issue, like Nifere made mention about our brother Dangote having that citizen, it favors him. But those small ones, it's not favorable to them. Now, let me give you an example. We don't have trained personnel to handle such technology. For example, like the ambassador was saying, you know the biometric system we are using in terms of bank VPN, it has a problem. I feel my own son went to buy this national ID card. Up to today, they are still giving him, so he's getting to 8 months about his biometric in terms of dividend, which is a problem in Nigeria. And you're talking about this. Now, you're talking about the 90 days, you're talking about in Nigeria, how many houses are numbered? In terms of that, to take record, how many houses go to states, all the 36 states of including Abuja, how many houses are numbered? When you come to a place, you come today, you see house 20. You go out at least 4 kilometers, you see house 20. Is that because if things are properly arranged, the proposal is not bad. But all the facilities behind, they are not there. Because they are going to create room for a lot of crime. Let me give you another example. You saw what happened at before Boris Johnson came on board. That bridge where the young man wanted to blow up. What happened? The young man wanted to blow up there was an ex-convict. They said it's a terrorist. When Boris got there, he checked the young man's record. He said the guy is a terrorist, and they gave him 5 years or 8 years. And he was dismissed. He completed his tenure. He left the prison yard. He came back to do the worst to blow up that bridge. You see, what did Boris Johnson say? He said that they are going to review their own policy.
We have to go.
They cannot tell somebody to go to jail and attempt to go to the that anybody that is a terrorist must serve as a life imprisonment, not a question of prison time. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you, Korafa, for your contribution. Gentlemen, we have to go. So we must go stop now. Very, very quickly, it is very important to begin to look at the question of, are we in a haste? January 2020, why not delay it a little bit to educate Nigerians better, to clear the air as we got some of these gray areas? What are your thoughts about this?
I think it's a sheer rascality on behalf of, on the part of the presidency to go out there and say it. And I'm sure the legislature will take him on, and they have the right to slow it down, to get assurance that the people they are representing is taken care of. And also, importantly, our men at the ports, how trained are they? How ready are they? How are they policed to ensure that they are loyal and they are not looking for?
So it's a welcome development for NACCIMA, but are there areas that you're looking at?
Well,
for some adjustment?
The areas which we would like to emphasize is what some of the you've read out, that the stakeholders engagement will continue in this process. And that's why we're looking at, and we are getting ourselves ready to work to engage the immigration department.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. We'll probably will continue this discussion some other time. Honorable Ipoola Omisore is former member, Lagos State House of Assembly. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thanks a lot. Happy to
Ambassador Ayo Olukanni, former High Commissioner to Australia with concurrent accreditation to New Zealand, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu. The next time you go on
NACCIMA.
NACCIMA. The next time you go on this, maybe I will stow away.
You can just stop on Australia. NACCIMA. It's a pleasure to
Thank you so much for finding time to come, gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. It's going to be 200 days of Lagos State Governor in office, and we'll be shedding more light on that and all of that on the course of the program tomorrow. I am Fmr Member. God bless Nigeria.